Namaste and welcome to The Native, tribe behind every child. Everyone loves listening to stories. We might forget facts, but stories stay with us. Today, our guest, Ms. Gayatri Thakur, is one who has brought stories to life. She is the co founder of Learn Through Stories Foundation and has been working closely with children who tell their stories or their versions of stories. Let us know more about her and her work that she has been doing. Welcome, Gayatri.
Thank you.
Nice to have you here. Before we talk about the work that is done in the foundation, at the foundation, I would like to know more about your education and your background.
Sure. I have been a journalist for the longest time. That's where my career started. Right from school, I said I want to write, and that is what I did. Having worked with the leading dailies in Mumbai, having covered business, crime, education, politics, somewhere I felt that I could make a difference to children's literature. That's when I started a partnership firm with a friend.
Mhm.
The name of the firm is Nano Gems. About almost 20 years ago,
Okay.
we developed children's books, we developed characters, we made app stories, we put it up on the iTunes store, we translated those into Japanese,
Mhm.
we sold, and we failed
Oh.
as a for profit organization.
Okay.
That's when IIT Bombay, the IIT Bombay opportunity called me. And that is the beginning of that quest, which led me to what I do today.
Mhm.
I used to be with the Tata Center for Technology and Design at IIT Bombay, where there were several research projects that I had to basically monitor and see that they moved from stage to stage and to completion. The learn through stories was actually learn English through stories.
Okay.
It was a research project at that point of time, headed by Professor Alka Hingurani from the IDC School of Design at IIT Bombay and Professor Aarti Kalro from the Shailesh Mehta School of Management, also IIT Bombay. So when this project became ready,
Mhm.
became a validated solution, the institute said that it was time for it to be taken out of the research confines.
Okay.
And because I was somebody who also had some background outside of IIT Bombay and knew what this research project was about,
Mhm.
I was entrusted this responsibility to take this approach, that is the learn through stories approach,
Mhm.
outside of IIT Bombay and into various parts of India.
Okay.
That is when we formed the Learn Through Stories Foundation, a not for profit initiative. I am a co founder and the CEO of this organization, and my partners are Professor Aarti Kalro and Professor Alka Hingurani, the two minds behind this entire project.
That is very interesting. And how did this entire project reach the remote areas? When it reached there, how did you find handling the children like on the project?
Okay, so let me be let me also speak of what we do.
Yes, sure.
Right, because why I say that is because we don't just um work with children.
Okay.
We work with teachers,
Mhm.
we work with librarians, we work at libraries. uh, Let me say we work with libraries, that's the right word. And how do we do this? The Learn Through Stories initiative is an approach.
Mhm.
How we take this out? Okay, let me be straight. It is an approach where children, teachers, schools use this as an alternative learning solution. So if somebody is referring to textbooks and they're not able to make this their own,
Okay.
we are saying here is an alternative learning approach where you make your own content. You
Mhm.
own the content and therefore then you learn better. So we conduct workshops with children, we conduct workshops with teachers, right? Where we try and share this approach with as many people as possible. So, yes, workshops is one, because we cannot work with as many children. I mean, there are hundreds of children in the country.
Possible, yeah, true.
We're saying that let's reach as many teachers, because there is better impact, because teachers will be able to take this approach on to many, many more children. We actually speak of rural remote India because we see magic there.
Okay.
We see interest there,
Mhm.
and we see how wonderful their the excitement to make stories is.
Hmm.
They are absolutely fresh. They do not know what is going on, and they actually wait,
Hmm.
wondering if we are going to judge them.
Mhm.
So I'll give you an example of, say, day one. We come in, a team from our foundation goes there, most of them being design facilitators. And the children are already thinking, somebody is going to say, don't do this.
Mhm.
Somebody is going to say, don't draw like that. Or use this eraser and wipe this out. Or use a scale and copy that. None of this happens. And when there is that freedom on day two, children are now beginning to say, I like what is going on. On day 4, they have made their own books.
Mhm.
And on day 5, they're taking those books home with them and to their school libraries. So, this is children.
Correct.
Imagine teachers doing this. Imagine as many children getting to learn what this is about. So, that is what we're trying to do.
Interesting. And I would like to know what else happens apart from the workshops for the children as well as for the teachers.
Right. So, our workshops and teacher training programs are our mainstay, because that's how we are trying to disseminate the learn through stories approach.
True.
What happens in these workshops is children learn to make books like this. Okay. So here is a Telugu book made by many children,
Mhm.
right? These are the names. And you will see that these are all illustrated. And these are made in their own version of their own story, right? They're totally in a different world, because this is their joy. This is the time when they make it their own. In urban India, we speak of 21st century skills, but this is what their reality is, because they see this. They see elements of these in their contexts,
Mhm.
and that is why this book becomes so special to them. Imagine children's books like these if many other children across India were to read these.
Mhm.
So, what we do when we have a little more resources is come back with images of these and
Okay.
then translate it into English.
Okay.
And the same book with minimal intervention, design intervention,
Hmm.
is translated and published into an English book.
Okay. That's interesting.
Right? So you will see very little difference. Typically in this book, that's how it is.
Mhm.
And these books are then put together. We publish them,
Mhm.
as in the Learn Through Stories Foundation publishes them, and we take them to libraries in rural India
Mhm.
across different states.
Okay.
The idea is that children across India can read this book
Mhm.
and say, hey, I like the flying chair and I would like to make my own
Own
book
chair.
too. I would like to learn from the content that I have created, and I would like my school library to be full of our
Our
stories.
work. Yeah. Correct.
Right? So that is what we're trying to do. So, yes, we do workshops. We teach teachers. We work with teachers. We collaborate with them so that they can take this to many more children. And we also take all their stories. We try to take all their stories to rural libraries across the country.
Hmm.
We have reached about 350 rural libraries till
That's
date
Great.
across
Great.
14 states.
Mhm.
It's tough because every book that we send is dependent wholly and solely on donations.
Absolutely.
It goes to these libraries for free.
Mhm.
We stay in touch with these libraries,
Mhm.
and we hope that much more can happen in this endeavor. We also have an app that
Mhm.
reads these stories out to them
Okay.
in English, especially for children who are not able to read the English that is written in these books. This is simple English, but yet we all know how difficult it can get to read, right? So the app reads out to them
Okay.
these stories, and we're hoping that reading and listening skills can improve over time in because of the use of this app and the books together. That's the whole idea. Very ambitiously, we also have 4 animation films based on these books, right?
Okay.
But we'll talk about that some other time.
All right. So I'm sure even if the areas are different, the children can relate to those concepts probably along with their whatever they have in their mind and whatever hardships or whatever they are going through, their daily routine. They definitely can relate to these two things. Yeah, that is
Absolutely,
interesting.
absolutely. So they know that in, let's say, in Karnataka,
Mhm.
say in Gadag, there is a story of the sunflower.
Mhm.
And somehow somebody who's sitting in Punjab is able to relate to that
To
same
that.
story,
True.
right? So, or they may not relate to that story. Remember when we were young and we read Enid Blyton and we read all kinds of books that were based in.
From all over the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Did we say that we didn't relate to it?
No.
Right?
Yes.
But here is something that's so relatable, that's so Indian, and it's so context based. That is what we're trying to reach out to as many children, and
Mhm.
hoping that when a book that was created in, say, Kuppam in Andhra Pradesh
Mhm.
is being read by children in Ladakh
Mhm.
and making them feel, hey, let's do ours,
Mhm.
we want to be there.
Mm-hmm. That's very interesting, and I'm sure it is rewarding enough. Like the reactions that you get from the children.
Our team comes back with such beautiful stories of testimonials from the teachers, of the joy that you see on children's faces. When we see when our team goes on workshops and we see the kind of updates that come back,
Mhm.
the pictures, the videos, you want to be there.
Mhm.
And those days, every day at the end of those days, that, this is why we do this. This is exactly why we do this. Because there is some difference that that child is making to your life. There's some difference that that teacher is making to your life. Because they're doing this freely, full of expression and happily. And it is their own story.
So the freedom is definitely getting converted into something meaningful all through whatever parts of India that you all are reaching.
Yeah. So when you say meaningful, it takes me to the teacher training programs. So
Okay.
typically with children, we don't say you should have morals. We don't say it should have meanings. Meaning, right?
Mhm.
Stories can be auto rickshaw was taken and the auto rickshaw flew to the moon.
Mm.
Who would have even thought that something like this would happen? Now, this book is about mitti.
Hmm.
Now, this book is called Matka.
Hmm.
This was made by children in Bhopal
Okay.
with an organization when we collaborated with them, Muskan, in Bhopal,
Mhm.
right? They live in a mitti ka ghar.
Okay.
This workshop happened in the mitti ka ghar, and their story came about from mitti.
Mitti. Mm.
That's how close it is. And it's a beautiful story. In fact, this is one of the most liked stories among adults and, children older than children, let's say, right? This was made in 2021.
Mm.
So what I'm trying to say is that children give us this joy, but with teachers, and this is not academic. This is
True.
this is definitely more than academic, but teachers, through our teacher training programs, we are trying to get them to, use this approach. We are encouraging them to make them use this approach in teaching math, science,
Formal
environmental.
teachers.
Exactly. We're talking of academic subjects, curricular subjects. If they can teach those using the learn through stories approach, that is what we're trying to do. We know it has worked because we were working with a school in Mumbai, the St.
Mhm.
Thomas Marthoma School, and we know that it is totally possible. The ones we're working with now are in rural Dehradun in a place called Dandapur. We've been working with them for about a year now. Last May we started, and we're about to finish that program a few weeks from now. When I say finish, I mean we complete as many sessions, but we're going to be in touch. We're going to do that hand holding. We're going to see how they use this approach. We're going to have them share with us what they're doing in their teaching learning practices.
True.
Talk to them, ask them how how wonderful it is to take this further, because they will be taking it in so many different ways that we don't know of. Right? The enthusiasm is awesome. And when you see that in rural India, you feel, my God, there is a world that India needs to see.
It's pretty rewarding. I guess that is more rewarding than whatever we experience in the urban parts of India.
I may not be able to speak much about urban India because I know that we have reached out. Our team has been very, 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 very persistent. We have reached out to cities. Mumbai. We did have a teacher training program in Mumbai in one of the schools in the slum of Kurar in Malad, right? And that too because they approached us. But most of the other schools have been a little unwilling because their point is, our children know everything. Our teachers have no time.
And you have to fit the structure.
And yes. So, no, I don't know about fitting the structure. They love what we do. They think that this alternative model, this alternative approach of making books, of coming up with, of where children are creating their own content is beautiful and they like it. But they're just not able to accommodate because there is so much else going on in the children's and the teachers' lives in urban India that we also think of our own hearts and we say, let them be.
I would like to know how important are collaborations at your organization? How are they helping change the outcome?
Collaboration is key for everything that we do. Okay? We cannot be riding solo saying we'll do everything. It does not work that way. So I'll give you a small example of how something that was a very, very basic reaching out to somebody turned into one collaboration after another. Of course, my team members will say another version of collaboration, which I'll come to in a bit. So suppose we had reached out to a particular, professional who was reading to children in municipal schools in Dehradun. I mean, this was really something which happened about 2.5 years ago. We reached out to her. We sent her our books, these books. And she took these books to the municipal children, school children, and she read it out to them. She came back to us and she says, I'm loving this whole idea of reading children's stories to children. Can these children also make these stories? Can the children who are working in these schools that I am reading to make these books too? Make their own stories? And that was the beginning of another collaboration. So a few months later, money was raised by this organization, and therefore then we went to Dehradun to do a week-long workshop with children from 2 municipal schools. Stories were made. Children were awesome. They didn't make just books. They made a wall mural based on those books. They created 3 stories. They made a wall mural. You imagine the kind of confidence that a small collaboration went up to. And in the middle of this week, there was one lady who came and met us. She was a teacher in a school in remote Dehradun. And she said, क्या हम नहीं कर सकते ये? क्या आप हमारे स्कूल में नहीं आ सकते? हमारे टीचर्स नहीं सीख सकते? हमको भी सीखना है ये. कैसे करेंगे हम काम? हम कैसे collaborate करेंगे? Such was her enthusiasm that the following year we stepped out to do a teacher training program for a whole year with 2 different schools that she had brought to us. Now that is how collaboration works for us. It's key. We would not have reached so many if that one person who was reading these books out to children had not reached out to us, right? my team, my colleagues say something totally different. They define collaboration as making a book is collaboration,
Okay.
right? In a workshop, you go, we work with children. The children collaborate with us. They share their ideas with us. They share their illustrations and they share their narratives with us.
Mhm.
When I say us, we have designers, we have storytellers, we have people who work in the social sector. We have people who try and bring all this together. Now that is as collaborative as it can get, right? So we also say that when we say that we are doing a teacher training program, we say that we are collaborating with the teachers. We are not saying we are training the teachers or we are teaching the teachers.
Mhm.
We collaborate so that this becomes as much as theirs.
And it reaches maximum number
Absolutely.
of children,
Absolutely.
as many as they can.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Now,
yeah.
this is one form of collaboration as far as work goes. If you look at something else, how we can actually function, how we can actually do more, is when you look at who can collaborate or partner with us. Now, that could include NGOs, it could include people from the corporate sector, it could include CSR agencies, it could include grant making bodies. The kind of support that comes in from such partnerships and collaborations is huge. And to get that is something that will push us to do so much more.
Yes, this is the massive thing that you guys are doing.
It's not massive, actually. These are small steps. Our process is central to it. That is, making children create their own content. We are ambitious, hoping that we can reach as many children, as many teachers. But we're also very focused on quality. And therefore, we do not say, hey, let's do 20 workshops in a year. We
Mhm.
cannot do that. We'll do 4 and we'll do it well. So, which is why
Effective.
we can't make it as massive as many people may want it to be. We're doing it one step at a time and doing it well.
Okay. And do NGOs reach out to you for such type of collaborations on corporates? And how are the resources handled?
Sure. So NGOs are people we are definitely working with. Some collaborations work awesomely. Some I can't say too much because it's a learning curve, right? Why working with NGOs or partnering with NGOs in rural India is relevant is because a learn through stories Inish foundation can't keep going from one village to another saying we know everything, we know every language there. So if there are NGOs who are already working on field,
Mhm.
who already have that reach, partnering with them just makes a lot of sense. So yes, we've been working with several NGOs right since we started 5 years ago when we started the dissemination part of it. We're still engaged with some of them. In fact, there is an NGO in Gadag in Karnataka called the Deal Foundation. They took us to a village called Meundi. Nobody has heard of a place called Meundi. We hadn't. And we went there and a workshop came about. I mean, that's how a collaboration could lead to another conversation where the Gadag University said, we have 20 model schools in our circle.
Mhm.
Can you come and work with them too? So we're hoping that that's how one collaboration with an NGO can lead to much more work. Resources, with corporate sponsorships, with CSR agencies, our conversations are still on. It is one of the most tough conversations that one can ever have.
Mhm.
I can say that. Maybe others won't. But in order that it fructifies, it actually turns and changes into real green stuff,
Mhm.
we're still at it.
It's time.
We're still at it, yes. So yeah, we are our resources so far, all that we have done, we have completed about 41 workshops till date.
Mhm.
That includes the 17 that we did at IIT Bombay. But the others are what we have done. So literally, we have done 24 workshops as a not-for-profit. And we have done it out of individual donations.
Okay.
Every bit of it has come out of individual donations only. So we are very grateful to these individuals who have supported us, who have recognized that we do some kind of good work, and we are hoping that they continue to show us the way. We're also hopeful that corporates will soon enter, that larger grant making bodies will recognize or will back us. Conversations are on, and we are hopeful.
I would like to know what are the reality challenges that you have faced on the field.
Okay. Oh my God.
I'm sure there are going to be quite a number of them. Can you just pick out one or two?
One or two. Oh, that's tough. My colleagues are laughing with me because it's tough. Um, the the first and the most important thing is that we are trying to take to people an alternative educational approach to make people understand this, that we are not here to disturb your curricular effort. We are not here to take your academic books, keep them aside and say, do this.
Mm-hmm.
That's not our intent. We are saying, here's something else. See how much joy is there in it. And if it helps you to learn better, awesome. Right? So we are trying to supplement learning. Right? There are many people who may not be on the same page. Right? So it takes time to have these conversations. That is one of the biggest reality checks that we have. Right? It was tough when we started, but today, because we have so many workshops under our belt, because we've reached a few geographies in the country, because we have books to show, people now know that, hey, and of course, our social media handles are jingling with some kind of material from what we see on what we are doing on field. There is something to say, so people may not ask or may not take as long to understand. I'm talking of rural India. I'm talking of NGOs, because there is that openness.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what also happens is a lot of organizations that are working in the rural space may come with their own intent. So when I say that the Learn Through Stories Foundation will collaborate with, say, ABC, what the Learn Through Stories Foundation wants to do may not be what ABC wants to do in that particular village school. So when we are going and doing our process, there is some kind of interference, right? So these happen. We have learned to deal with it. We have learned to figure this out. One of the biggest challenges is logistics. So we are right now working in rural Dehradun. Can you imagine a team that is placed maybe in or around Mumbai or across India, reaching rural Dehradun every few months, going there and staying? Believe me, we are so used to transport, accommodation, and decent living in Mumbai that these expectations are not to be kept when you're traveling across rural India. It becomes tough. Not every place is as equipped. So our team learns to deal with it. Our team learns to take on the challenges the way they are, right? Because it's tough. We embark on these programs with absolute enthusiasm, but we also know it is tough as far as logistics goes. There was a time when we were doing a workshop in one particular state in the country, and I know the team had reached there. There had been conversations with this NGO. The NGO had taken care of the accommodation, set everything up, etc., etc. Our team reached there, and these places were unlivable. Even if it was for 4 days, they were really not. Things had to be turned. They had to move out of there because an alternate accommodation had to be sought, and they had to be moved. These things happen. Everything happens in time, but these are these small little obstacles that come in the way, basically in the name of logistics. So logistics can be tough because we are traveling a lot. Bookings, travel can be very, very trying. I mean, I know that our team sits, my colleague gets up at 8 in the morning to know that the window of the train tickets has opened and let's book now. And in a flash of a minute, the tickets are all gone. I mean, imagine we are booked for our Dehradun workshop 2 weeks later. We are booked on 2 different trains, and we are hoping that one will get confirmed. right? Now, when we say that, it's tough. You didn't expect something like this would be a reality, a challenge on field, right? Other than that, I would say that in rural, remote India, um, it's actually a very pleasant place to work because there are no expectations and there is surprise because we are not saying, because they realize that we are not judging, that everything they do is correct.
Mm-hmm. And there will be gratitude from their side also.
That's not what we wait for.
No,
I know they do, but I'm sure. But we see joy in the work they do. We see joy in the books they make. They know that they can they can color the sky black and red and yellow. It doesn't have to be blue or pink for that matter. They can color that, or the lion does not have to look like a lion. And nobody will say, don't do this.
Mhm.
Just this last month, one of our team members went there and taught teachers taught them stop motion animation, right? I know that I don't know, but the teachers got to know, got to learn. We came back from there and they made their own YouTube channel, right? So that's the kind of, you say gratitude. Well, we say that that's the kind of interest that we see to do their own thing, the enterprise, the initiative that one little nudge gives them, and they say, hey, we are capable of so much more. And it is beautiful to see that.
True. And when, how is the feeling when one child who has done something, who has created a story maybe, or that is converted into a storybook, what is his or her reaction, the child's reaction?
So, I will speak of a group of children because our work is
It's not one,
collaborative.
huh?
So we typically have about 3 children make one book or 4 children make one book, right? Make the same story and color it differently, right? So each child has their own book.
Mm-hmm.
They say, this has been made by me. They spend hours doing it. There is no hurry, first of all, right? On day 5, when we tell them it's time to go, ये मैं लेकर जाऊं, ये मैंने बनाया है, that's what they say. And that feeling of having, I mean, we speak, like I said, I come back to 21st century skills. We speak of curiosity, collaboration. You see, there is one book which is Papa Ka Gussa. Papa Ka Gussa.
Mm-hmm.
How many children will write about Papa Ka Gussa? Somebody has written that. I have a book somewhere. It's somewhere here, which is Papa Ka Gussa. And most corporates or adults that I have shown this book to are so excited on seeing this, that a child can write about Papa Ka Gussa. And they have shown smoke coming out of the papa's ears.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, that's the kind of, they relate to it because it is theirs. They own it and therefore then they learn from it. And this you see in every other child that makes their story. And this you see in every other teacher who understands the process now. And imagine how many more children will like it then.
Absolutely. Fine.
Papa Ka Gussa.
Okay.
Can you imagine? Somebody has actually written Papa Ka Gussa, okay? And they have written the whole story by themselves. What happened because of which Papa was angry, right? And this is written in Hindi, in his own language. And he's very happy. And look at Papa. He relates to this. And this book was made in Mumbai.
Okay.
This was not even made in rural India. Okay, but that is what I'm trying to say, that this makes it his own
creation. Yeah.
Yes, Ansh Ganesh Malla. It's his own. And he says, this is my first book. This is the first one I have created. And it is obviously going to be unforgettable.
Definitely.
He'll remember this all his life. And he'll possibly make so many more stories like these.
True.
Like this
Very
one.
true. What is one belief that you stick by?
So this is something that is what we believe in. The act of producing content changes learners and their relationship with learning. This is at the core of our endeavor. We say this in everything that we try and share with people who want to partner with us, who want to work with us, who want to fund us, and who want to sit back and say, we love what you do, right? So everything is about producing content. And because these are children we are talking about, we're saying these are stories by children for children.
That is great.
You'll see that on our website too, because that's what we say. I mean, um, the whole people keep asking, how are you different from other book producing organizations? And we say that our books are made by children. Our books are stories that have been illustrated and written by children in the various workshops, and that is what we then publish. So yeah, these are children's stories made by children.
There will be a lot of people who will be moved by whatever you have said. They would want to help. What are the ways, what are the simple things that they can do to come out and reach out to you?
Sure, there's so much that they can do. We have reached this far because of such interest, right? Everything that we do is dependent on resources. When we say resources, we mean effort, we mean interest, and yes, we mean contributions. If people out there are, know that we're doing something like this, are delighted by the fact that we make books like these, right? And that these books are going to children in rural libraries. Come donate to these libraries. That's the first thing that people can do. Come forward so that many more of these books can reach rural libraries across the country. We've reached just 14 states. Can we make them reach everywhere? We've reached just 350 rural libraries. Can we reach 1,000 libraries this year? So yeah, that's the first thing that people can do. Donate or contribute so that books can reach them, can reach the rural libraries. The other things that they can do is, of course, if they are design professionals, if there are storytellers, if there are people who know of what kind of work goes on, theatre artists in the rural space, come forward, collaborate with us. Let us reach your regions so that we can work together. We can then make some magic happen there. So yeah, we're looking out for those people too. In all this, it's very important that we are not somebody who will say, contribute this much. We're very clear that if you want a workshop done, this is how much it costs. Because we're a not for profit, nothing comes to us. But because we've got to engage with so many people, they have to be paid. Nothing goes without the value that they receive, they deserve, right? So donations are happy to come to make these workshops happen. So that's one. Donations are happy to us if they can reach many more books to rural libraries. That's two. And people who want to work with us, people who want to intern with us. There are several students from IB schools. There are students from design schools. There are students from maybe engineering institutes who have interned with us, who have done various things to contribute to us. In fact, we were just talking to students who were senior design students, and they wanted to intern with us this summer. So that's the kind of interest we're already seeing. Come with your ideas, because we'd like to know what you think about the Learn Through Stories initiative, and we'd like to see how we can change too. I want to show you this book. Imagine this book going to rural India. Hold this, please. Imagine this book going to rural India, right? You imagine this. This was made in the Varli language in Dahanu, in one of our workshops. This is the monster and the little boy, right? And we have beautiful pictures of this book lying on the floor and children reading it. And there are about 10 children reading this book together. You imagine how beautiful that looks? I know that it is so. Some of them don't know how to read. Can we reach more such children?
Gayatri, it has been awesome speaking to you. Lot of things that we did not know have come out really well. Happy that you have found time to come down to us, and thank you very much. We will definitely look forward to having you again, maybe with some other work that you will be doing. Thank you very much.